Polynikes here with part 1 of my battle report for Emerald City Mark II. I was up in Seattle for Emerald City Insurgent, and first battle report will be the first 3 missions: unmasking, acquisitions, and supplies. Let me grab my pen here. Excellent. Okay, so we were at the Mox Boarding House, which is a great game store in Seattle. If you're up there, I recommend checking it out. They weren't terribly well set up for so many miniature games, but they did a pretty good job of hosting us anyway. They have a little bar over here with an outside seating area. It's nice. Yeah, I enjoyed it. All right, this is list 1. It's my Skiavoros Charonted list. I think they work really well together. You've possibly seen it in some of my other reports. Skiavoros is the lieutenant for Strategos and Sepsitor use. Charonted is a great gun platform, and they kind of trade off depending on the density of the board. If the board's really dense, Skiavoros will move up using his plasma rifle and getting kills. And if it's not, the Charonted will move around getting his kills with the Ulaties for smoke. And you don't terribly care if either one of them die after doing all that, because they have Memnomnica. They can jump around. And once Kurnow gets whip 16 from one of those aspects, it's great. He's a wonderful killer hacker. He's already good. Now he's even better. So I like this list a lot. It's pretty general purpose. This is the anathematic list. I'm on again, off again on this list. I played it. I enjoy it. I really enjoy the shrouded sniper who's in here. Looks like he didn't end up on the list here, but there's a shrouded sniper and an assault hacker. Yeah. All right, that's enough for that list. Okay, so first mission is unmasking, and that is I find this mission pretty difficult because there's a lot you have to do to get points, right? You got to move up on the board, you got to hit, you got to guess the right guy, or just keep hitting buttons till you get him. You're supposed to kill him with your data tracker. That's a little bit of a trap, because if your data tracker is aggressive and gets killed, you've only got 1 extra point, because killing the enemy data tracker is worth 2, right? And killing the guy with your data tracker is worth 1 extra, I believe it is. Let me see, where is it? Kill the reveal. Kill the enemy data target with your data tracker is worth 2. That's right. And to have your data tracker not killed is worth 1. So you get 1 extra point if you get up there and kill their guy, and then they kill your data tracker. So protecting that is important. All right, well, on to unmasking. My first opponent is the Dice Abide. I was really glad to get a game with him because I knew him when he lived down in the Bay Area in California, but we never got to play. So this is the first time we've played that we kind of know each other. And this is his list. You note that his Charonted is a hacker, which is pretty interesting. It can cyber mask. It's got a hacking device plus. It's a pretty powerful unit. Honestly, all of his units are really powerful, right? His cheapest unit is the Icadron, which is wonderful. Shrouded I like. The Renegade I like. Yeah, I like everything in his list. I think it's great. Oh, except for the Noctifer. You may know by now I'm not a big fan of the Noctifer. I've definitely been hurt by it in games, but I never get any success with it. So we'll see if the Dice Abide gets any better. All right, so first game, I win the lieutenant role, choose deployment, so he's going to go first. And this is our board. Move myself out of the way for a moment. This is the side that he ends up deploying on, as we'll see momentarily. Okay, here's my deployment. Starting with my left, I've got my Morat hacker down here, my Q drone, who's covering this lane up here, where, strangely, all 3 of my HVTs are in line over here, 1, 2, 3, behind a wall. We'll get a better picture of that in a minute. I'm not sure if I like this strategy, but I've read about it somewhere and wanted to give it a run. The idea is you only have to protect 1 area. They still have to guess right before they can kill the right one. And if you clump them all together, they can't really use templates on them, because the templates will be canceled if they hit an unrevealed one. So between the Q drone covering through there and the Charonted covering through here, who can see over this Datarati who's standing, who will hopefully throw smoke, the area is pretty protected. So I'm hoping that will keep my designated target alive. Moving across, the slave drone here for my engineer. Camo token in the middle is my shrouded. This is Skiavoros down here. I like this model, so I often use it for my Skiavoros. And then the Charonted HMG there. There's my 3 HVTs. Mugatu here in the middle is my actual HVT. All right, and there's the Charonted again, his 2 Datarati bodyguard. The camo token. On my far right flank, this is obviously the end of deployment because my opponent has deployed his impersonator here. We've got Kurnow and my engineer who's standing right there. Now my opponent's going first. I really expect him to do this attack run over here and try to kill off all these guys because he can boarding shotgun and splash like that. And Impersonator's pretty good. You could probably kill these guys without much chance of getting killed in response. But that's not what he does. This is not what happens. This is my opponent's deployment before we get to that. We've got Anyat on the upper left here. Kurnow in the building here prone. And then moving across. The Q drone central on top of a building. This is an okay position. It doesn't have really cover from anywhere. So I don't know if I would have taken that position, but it's okay. This is his Charanted, who starts there prone. This is his HVT. This ends up being the real one when I eventually discover it, the one in the center. Moving on to his right, Hashed. Next picture here, we have Hashed, who will be his data tracker. The Renegade, who's staring straight at my Q drone, by the way, like right there. So the Renegade never moves throughout the game because every turn cancels Impetuous rather than run out into Q drone. And another one of his designated targets over here. Here's top-down view of the board. You can see my 3 HVTs on the side there. And then his HVTs are, you see there's one there, there's one over there, and the third one, yes, right on the other side of my HVTs, right there. All right. So we'll get into data trackers first. My Charanted is the data tracker, and his is Korax Hashed. All right, so first thing, Hashed is moving up. I don't have this objective covered much until he gets beyond it, like over here, where the Charanted starts to see things, and 1 or 2 of the Ulaties. He coordinate orders and also moves up Anyat and Kurnow. They're just kind of moving into position for their later game action. And his Shrouded moves into the building. It's a forward observer. It eventually comes forward here, and then jumps over to see this objective and jumps back, and then realizes that my Q drone can see it, and somebody else saw it. I can't remember who the other one was. But with the Q drone, oh, my camo token saw it. He decides not to reveal and get killed by the Q drone. So he ends up just being like right here. Hashed moves up. I do eventually get a smoke down here. He kills the first daughter outside, the second one gets a smoke down. The Charanted is firing through like that. And he hits the button, guesses the correct HVT, so he's got the designated target now, and he goes over there and he kills it in one burst with the Spitfire. And then in retreating, he gets killed by the Charanted and ARO, who plugs in with the HMG a couple of times. So that's a good play for him, a good score on victory points, but remember that I killed his data tracker there also, so it's not quite up as much as it could be. Yeah, there's Hashed, who's measuring forward, trying to creep around, and as I said, eventually kills and gets killed. Yeah, there's where the designated target used to be. Okay, and then Kurnow and Anyat move up a bit more. They both kind of end over here behind this building, and one of the designated targets is here. This is on my far right, but on his side of the board. All right, so Kurnow shoots a pitcher over here. I believe he fails the first pitcher shot. Pretty sure that's what happened. He eventually puts another one down right here. I think he doesn't fail the first one. He gets one down there, and that becomes pretty interesting because I have Kurnow, my killer hacker, over there, and his Charanted is the lieutenant, is also a hacker, right? So there's a lot of interesting things going on there where I decided to move Kurnow over. That's the second repeater going down, and that's not as important. Let's go back to this one. Okay, so to the bottom of the screen here, and on the right, this is the building where the Speculo is on one side, and Kurnow is on it, and my engineer is in it. So Kurnow moves up as part of a coordinated order. Slight mistake on my part here, not making Kurnow the spearhead. I didn't think the Speculo would reveal, but it does, and it shoots Kurnow. Kurnow shoots back with the plasma rifle, but loses to the Speculo and goes unconscious. And that was really important because I was going to walk to the corner right here, where I would be in range of his repeater, which gives me access to his lieutenant and his Kurnow over here. But my Charanted moved up, which is the next picture we're seeing, and shoots and kills his Kurnow. So now only my Kurnow is left until it gets killed by the Speculo. Trying to deal with the Speculo, I spend 2 orders shooting it with my boarding shotgun from my Kuryat. It doesn't die. It takes a couple saves. It's fine. And then I leave it alone. I'm like, whatever. Can't spend all my orders doing that. This is where the Charanted moves up. He puts another repeater down there and is killed in the process. I can't remember what happened to his shrouded in here. I think it was prone, so maybe the shrouded did kill it by just getting line of fire to that and walking up closer. All right, here's the shrouded, pretty much where he ends his turn. He moves up right to here. The enemy reveals his Noctifier, which is on top of this building up here. He actually moved it up on his first turn as part of one of those coordinated orders. So it has good lines of fire down like that and down like that. And my Charonted comes out here, discovers it, and then shoots it. I hit it a couple times with the HMG. And it passes all the saves. And I just basically end up running out of orders trying to kill it. My Shrouded Hacker is right behind my Charonted over here. Not quite on that block, but just behind him, which will become relevant in a moment when my opponent moves up. So here's the opponent coming up with his Cybermasked Charonted. He comes up here, I discover him, he takes a shot at me. Not much happens there. I think I just fall back on top of this from Guts, and he's not obviously hidden anymore. Or Cybermasked, excuse me. He then moves all the way up to here. I think that it was part of a coordinated order? I'm not sure. But my Shrouded reveals and hacks the Charonted and actually isolates him, which is going to put my opponent into loss of lieutenant, a kind of rare thing for the combined army, and pretty bad for him. This is going to be his turn 3. He'll be going into in loss of lieutenant. And my Charonted is here. I think he puts a wound on it during this firefight, but that's about it. This is his designated target, and that's just me throwing a console with my Shrouded and choosing the right one. All right. And this is now into his 3rd turn, I believe it is, where Anya's moving up, she lays some smoke, then realizes the Charonted can see through the smoke, but goes for the objective anyway, which I think was the right play, because getting the objectives in this game is really what it's all about. She successfully hits the button and is eliminated by the Charonted. So this is the Charonted in the 3rd turn. It's basically making a rush. We had a bit of a firefight before this happened, where I kill his Charonted. My Q-drone kills the Noctifier with shock rounds, and then my Charonted rushes over here and is able to fire through this window at his designated target over here. He crit dodged, so I didn't get it. So it was really my last order, where the Shrouded ran over here and split his fire between that designated target and that decoy over there, and kills both of them. And that is what's going to secure the game. This picture is just the Shrouded moving up. He hit the button on the far left, hit the button in the middle. I forgot about the hacker bonus, and so it cost me 3 orders to get that button instead of the 1 that it should have, because I rolled like a 14. And that would have given me enough orders to go over and likely hit the other button to get more consoles, but that didn't happen. All right, so the game ends 8-6, very close victory in the objective points. A little more on surviving points, because I killed his Charonted in a couple of big things. And he had baggage still. Okay, so game 1, down, minor victory. Game 2, acquisition. Another mission that's pretty intensive to do. You have to be alive at the end of the game and touching the console and have your Xenotech with you and have put down the Xeno scanner, multi-scanner, whatever. Yeah, this mission is also, I think, pretty difficult. I also generally like going first in this mission, which is what I do. This is my opponent. I said going first, I meant I like going second in that mission because of all those objectives. This is my opponent, Advanced. He's playing Vanilla Nomads. Yeah, here's his list. Obviously, I don't know this list before I make the decision to make deployment choices when I win the lieutenant role. When I come back to the table and he's deployed, almost everything is at like the 20-inch mark on the board, because a lot of these guys have forward deployment, and there's 16-inch deployment in this game, so he's very aggressively deployed up the middle. At that point, I realized I may have made a mistake in giving him first turn. Yeah, I win the lieutenant role, choose deployment, he's going to go first. This is my deployment. I'm playing the anathematic list. And the anathematic is here, which is sort of the center of my deployment zone, and will be in hidden deployment. The camo token over here is my Shrouded Sniper. This is on my left flank over here. We've got Kurnow inside this building, who is my data tracker, an R drone covering the center. Remember, the anathematic is right here. My engineer crouched down over there, an R drone here. You see the engineer's slave drone tucked down over there. The Q drone, again moving on to my left flank here, covering a line down here. I'll talk about those lines in a moment. And this is my E drone back here. So my Q drone He's got a direct line onto Kusanagi, as does my shrouded sniper. He deployed, as I said, very aggressively along the center line. A couple of his models are not in cover. They're just standing there, like Kusanagi and the Zonnautica, I believe. In the center of the board, on my right flank, I've got my Makarep tracker. Very bad picture, sorry. But she's in a building over here. And she has the Xenotech attached to her there. Okay, so here's some of his deployment. On his right flank, we've got a camo token over here, which turns out to be the Heckler later on. Perseus over here, the Zonnautica. Can you see the top of the building? No, the top of the building there has Merry Problems and here it is. Merry Problems there, and this camo token, which I believe ends up being a 0. Okay, there's the Zonnautica. And a direct line down from her is Kusanagi, just standing out in the open. On top of this building here is the Sin Eater HMG, and inside the building is the camo token, which is the Intruder HMG. I believe lastly is his Moran right here, and his Crazy Koalas. They're around him somewhere. Yeah, there's the Crazy Koala. Oh yeah, there's one more camo token over here, which is Brand de Castro, which we'll find out about in a minute. And there's the Moran. Kusanagi, just letting it all hang out. Okay. So my opponent has first turn, and he's bringing up Brand de Castro immediately. Comes around the corner here. Okay, this is his first move, was over to there with Brand de Castro. You can see in here, there's a camo token in this building. That's my Shrouded Assault Hacker who's in there. So this is what Brand does in the first turn. First thing he does, coming around that corner, he gains line of fire to this R drone right here. I see what he's doing. He's really coming around to try to get an attack on the Q drone, because the Q drone's staring straight at Kusanagi. You can't move it, and the Zonnautica. You can't move either one before that happens. So when he gains line of fire to the R drone, I discover him. He decides to shoot, which I thought was questionable, because what he's really doing, right, is attacking the Q drone. And he should be trying to stack all the modifiers he can against the total reaction mimetism bot. So he wanted to get the surprise shot there. Instead, he shoots over here and criticals and puts down the R drone. He then jumps on top of the building where he does see the Q drone, and despite not surprise shotting it, manages to put it unconscious as well. Then he jumps out into the air here, drawing a line of fire over here to the Kurgat. Kurgat dodges because he's Phys 12. He dodges well. He's in cover. He's at range. He crits the Kurgat as well, puts him down. And that puts him down over here. So then he jumps over this wall using super jump to land actually right next to the E-drone. The E-drone gets a turn-to-face dodge when he shoots it, and the Shrouded, who's way kind of in the middle of my board over here, shoots him with the sniper. The sniper misses, and fortunately, this is finally the first thing, and really the only thing in this game that goes well, the E-drone makes its 2 saves against the boarding shotgun, and his next order, he moves into close combat with the E-drone and loses to the electric pulse, and is stunned right there. All right, here's the Shrouded who revealed to take that shot there. Now, his Intruder now moves up to the window to take a shot at the Shrouded. He's shooting from pretty far away, and I'm in cover here. And my opponent's down to like 3 orders in his pool, so I decide to alert, because my anathematic is not revealed yet, and I definitely don't want to start in loss of lieutenant. So the Shrouded just takes the shot from the HMG. The anathematic gets a alert, so it reveals right here. And my opponent crits the Shrouded, putting him unconscious, and hits him like twice. He's on 6s here, and so takes the Shrouded off the board. I think that was pretty much the end of his turn. He may have moved up a little bit more, because this is the beginning of my first turn. The E-drone kills Brand de Castro. Remember, he's immobilized too, so he can't even do anything at all. It takes me 2 orders, but I kill him with my combi rifle. This is near the end of my turn. Didn't get a lot of pictures in between, but I can tell you what happened. My Makarep moves up on the side over here, getting line of fire to the camo token that was right there, and bringing the Xenotech with her. The camo token reveals to be the Heckler and hits me with the E-Marat. I decide to take it and shotgun him. 2 dice on 15s at like point blank range, but he's in cover. And I roll 2 16s and miss. I make the save against the E-Marat though. That was solid. I then move the Makarep tracker up again, and he E-Marats me again. And this is where I made a mistake. I should have fired first with the shotgun. And then he puts down the E-Marat template. and then I run the Xenotech in the way of the template, canceling the attack. That would have been a good move, but it didn't occur to me, and so while I do kill the Heckler, splash the shotgun shots onto Perseus, this is Perseus here, and do 1 wound to Perseus, the Makareb does not tank this second Emerat hit, and she gets isolated, which drops the Xenotech off of her and stops her hacking device from working. She's pretty out. So this is my opponent's second turn, where, okay, actually, a couple more things on my turn before he turns over. The Anathematic peeks around the corner here and is trying to kill Perseus. I plasma him a number of times, but nothing gets through. Either I miss, or he dodges, or eventually I hit him and he makes both saves, because he's already in known in cap. And I know how this is going to end, right? He's going to be able to get over here and beat up the Anathematic. Over the course of doing all that, I'm being shot at by the HMG and the Intruder a couple times, so the Anathematic takes 1 wound from all that, but doesn't really want to kill Perseus. If he'd killed Perseus, that would have been fine, but he did not. So, on my opponent's turn, the Zonnautica runs up, dismounts, runs over here, sends the bike around the corner. I attempt to gotcha it with the hacking device on the Anathematic, but I fail, and it gets into combat with me, which allows Perseus to walk around here and eventually get into combat with an extra burst in his high martial arts. He kills the Anathematic pretty easily. And at this point, there's not much left in the combined army except for Kurnow, who the Anathematic force jumps into, and an isolated Makrep, who can't make it far enough to get to an objective. The other thing I do get done is my Shrouded, on the end of my opponent's first turn, when his Moran moves up, I'm able to black out this crazy koala, which frees up the Shrouded to do something. It peeks around the corner and shoots Kusanagi, dropping her into known in cap. If I had known my opponent's army a little better, I would have known that was the lieutenant, and I would have put, 1 or 2 more orders into trying to kill her. That would have disrupted his second turn quite a bit, but I didn't. So at the end of the game, he's able to swing in with Kusanagi, kill the hacker, come in with Perseus, kill the Anathematic, and kill, that was pretty, Kurnow. Kurnow goes out trying to kill Kusanagi before my opponent goes into his third turn, but fails, gets killed doing it. And the combined army is wiped out. My opponent has 10, and he's got a lot of surviving points. I didn't kill very much at all. Thoughts on that? Did not realize how aggressive the Nomads would be with forward deployment stacked on top of the 16-inch deployment. And my opponent used that really well, with that really strong deployment with a couple of good attack pieces on each side. Yeah, that was really good. And definitely should have gone first, despite acquisition. All right, solid loss. Moving on to game 3, which is supplies. Supplies, I really like supplies. It's kind of a simple mission, but it's definitely not a bad mission. A lot of people say in supplies, it's easy. Go first, throw smoke on an objective, run up, grab it, run away, do the same thing with the other objective, do the same thing with the third objective. Your opponent can't win. That's not the case in limited insertion. You just don't have the orders to do it. You can secure 1, maybe you can secure 2, but you will not be safe in doing that, and you definitely can't get 3. I find it better to get 1 and prepare for the other turns so you can counterattack and maybe fend the enemy off of 1. My opponent, Mountain Goat, is playing Shasvasti. So 2 combined army opponents on this day. Here is his list. 2 Noctifiers. I'm not terribly impressed by that, as you can guess, but Speculo's good. Everything else on the list is good. I really like the Cadmus. I've used the Cadmus a number of times in vanilla. I usually use the boarding shotgun one, because it's boarding shotgun, assault pistol. The combat jumps in as a mine, which is really interesting. You can use it like trap link teams. You just combat jump in a mine right next to them and then start shooting them. What do? They dodge. Some of them die. It's great. And then he's got, yeah, you can see it. The Malingos and a couple of Shrouded. His E-drone to help his jumping in. Yeah. Okay, I win the LT roll, and I go first. More because I'm scarred from my last game than I think it's in any other reason. My 2 classifieds for this, Extreme Prejudice and Identity Check. Extreme Prejudice I should be able to do. Identity Check I probably won't even try. It means setting the Shrouded, the Charonted up there. Probably not going to happen. All right, here's the board. This ends up being the side that I deploy on. That really tall building in the upper left is going to be really important. You can see the 3 supply boxes in the middle. The other things are just objectives from other games, scenery in this. All right, this is the, I think it's the end state of my first turn. My Shrouded runs up the side here and secures one objective, runs back, lays a mine to protect himself, and hides behind the HVT over here. This Ulaties runs up, hops on top of this building, and is just basically providing overwatch there. The opponent doesn't have a lot of things on the board. There's a camo token here that I don't really worry about. We'll go to the other side of the board in a moment here. Okay, the other side of the board, the Speculo was here. One of my Ulaties ran up and put a smoke on it. And then the Shrouded moved up and shot it unconscious. Left it like that because I have extreme prejudice. I want to get it. And then the Shrouded, so the Ulaties throws another smoke cloud right here, which is infinitely high, right? So the Shrouded walks up to the top of this, in the smoke the whole time, and then pops up to the top. Make sure to pop up the top with a first short skill in case an Octafire shows up and tries to kill you, which is exactly what happens. There's an Octafire right down here, but he's 1 die on a 12 to my 4 dice on 17, right? That doesn't work out. Octafire dies. From the top of this building, the Shrouded has a great vantage point, like almost too good. I can see Doc Worm, and I kill it. I can see his only camo token that is in his deployment zone, which clearly is going to be the Aswang Lieutenant. So I discover that, and I kill that. So my opponent will be starting his first turn in loss of Lieutenant. Yeah, and you can see where the Shrouded ended. This is my opponent's side of the board that way. The Shrouded ends right here. First thing my opponent does is combat jump in. He tries to land right behind the Shrouded, but deviates and lands right over here. Do anything else in this first, second turn? Yeah, I guess this Malingo shows up, tries to get this objective. The Ulaties chain rifles it and kills it. You can see the Speculo is no longer here. The Dot got the extreme prejudice on it. That's pretty much all my opponent did in that turn. Yeah, there's the chain rifle going on to the Ulaties there. From the Ulaties onto the Malingos. Okay. On the other side of the board, this is now into my turn 2. Engineer runs up and secures this objective. The Skiovoros walks over here, sees that camo token, discovers it, and then Sepsiders it. It's a Shrouded forward observer. I Sepsider it. I love Sepsidering things. It's my first one of the day. Here's the Shrouded on top. This might still be during my opponent's turn because this guy sprouts here, and then as soon as he tries to do something, the Shrouded shoots him and kills him. Yeah, this is definitely my opponent's third turn. Must still be second. His Shrouded runs forward, tries to grab a box, gets hit by the Sepsider. He does grab the box, tanks the Sepsider roll, this 19, and falls back from guts around the corner there. So when it's back to my turn, turn 3, I have to send my Sepsider Shrouded around the corner to deal with his other Shrouded. I lay a mine, I come around, I get in a firefight with him. It takes a couple of orders, but eventually I put him down. And then the Shrouded goes over, picks up the box, carries it around the corner, and hands it off to the Kurgat. Kurgat's over here. Shrouded gives him the box, and then they both lay a couple of mines, and I just wait for my opponent, who doesn't really have much to do at that point. Most of his guys are dead. I think all that's left is his E-drone and something else, and he's probably in retreat at that point. Yeah, so that's where the game ends. I didn't record all my points here. They had a sheet for us, but I forgot to get it back at the end of the event. It was definitely a 10-0 win for the Combined Army. Okay, so that's it for day 1. And day 2, where we have Supremacy and Firefight, I'll get to in the next day or so. So I'm in this tournament going into day 2 with 1 major win, 1 minor win, and 1 loss. Still in a pretty good position and having a great time. So that's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching.